Hi, I'm George Nordhaus, and welcome to Monday Morning. The Bollinger Company's life insurance cross-marketing organization that I have been working with now for some years, and I think the world of them, and they've been utterly cooperative with agencies online, and I am so happy that we have been working together. We have two presenters today, which is kind of unusual. We don't usually do that, but it makes sense in this case too. Peter Wilson, you see his picture, and Greg Simonson, and they are both they're both in marketing, both in sales. They both do everything. But Bollinger's we'll tell you about that. Why don't you guys just describe the company, if you will, please?
We'll do that. Yeah, George, thanks for the introduction. This is Peter, and I've got Greg not only on the screen, one of the better pictures that I've ever seen of Greg, by the way.
It was.
And
you must have. That's
yeah, it's a
Thank
fantastic picture.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I'm the executive VP of the Bollinger Companies. I basically, there's two divisions. The Bollinger Group is life insurance, disability, and MarketMax, where I'm the executive VP of that. Is that company. We do annuities, MYGAs, fixed index annuities, SPIAs, asset-based, long-term care, and final expenses. So we are basically a one-stop shop for all things financial products with both companies, the Bollinger Group and MarketMax.
Yeah, and I like it. Yeah, I like it particularly because of the fact that you are a one-stop deal. You have people around the country that are selling for you, and I'm on that on cross-selling, and we need to do that. And so, and I'm making kind of an exception in this case because we don't usually sit there and do a commercial on these Monday mornings. And so this is not exactly a commercial, but it is a lot about Bollinger because what they're offering, I think every agency needs to know about. I think agents need to listen to this and really think, you know, if it isn't Bollinger, it's going to be somebody else, but this is what you need. I think it's this broad look at and broad treatment of the problem. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm proud of it.
No,
thank you,
George. Really, it's a challenge, the cross marketing. I think everybody thinks about it, and everybody thinks they maybe are doing it to a certain extent. But how much of it they're doing remains to be seen. We have lots of conversations with agencies around the country, and you'll find out they say they're doing it, and then we'll ask what kind of premium they did last year with the life or the annuity side, and truth be told, it's very little. So it varies from agency to agency and person to person. But the cross-marketing challenge is basically this. The property and casualty agencies have what is the most valuable thing of all, and that's years of solid relationships with the clients. They come in contact with them time and time again, and those relationships are so solid. They have needs, those clients, beyond the property and casualty needs that they're currently being sold to. And research has shown that the clients of the P&C agency have what we call a huge affinity for the agents. They get in contact with the clients all the time. On the life side of things, or the annuity side of things, it's not so often, and that's the number one complaint that most people have with the life agent is they don't have enough contact with the client. So that's the beauty of the P&C agent and the agencies, that they have those great relationships. Mm-hmm. And the clients are basically forced to look for financial service needs someplace else because of the fact that they're not being marketed to enough by the P&C agencies and the agents. And that's where the cross-marketing challenge definitely comes in. Mm-hmm. So the reality of the whole thing is basically is, you said it best, George, a couple seconds ago. If they're not doing it, somebody is going to do it for them, and that's going to maybe in some way tarnish the relationship they have currently with the P&C agency, because those financial services aren't being covered by the P&C shop, and they need them, and that need needs to be addressed. And that's the cross-marketing that Marlon, the author of this, has been working on it. As you know, George, I keep saying it all the time. It's a 35-year overnight success, this program, because it's been fine-tuned and honed and worked and reworked endless times from Marlon's days as a red coat salesperson with the Travelers, and we've taken this program a lot further. So Greg, yep, you've changed the slide. So let's talk about the solution that we come up with. And it's providing the P&C agencies with the resources they need to get those financial services to that existing client base. Mm-hmm. That is really the essence of this, and that is marketing to those individuals. So let's put the slide up, Greg, where we begin the Bollinger marketing circle. And this is it, George, in essence. And if you've got any questions as we go through this, just stop me and we can extrapolate and add to it. But as I said earlier, the most important thing that the P&C agencies have is those relationships. They are rock solid. There's trust, and in a lot of instances, a large reliance on the agent for the agencies and the relationship they have. The second part of the marketing circle is we will take the client list from the P&C agencies, and we will upload that into a secure database server that we have, and we will then put filters on those uploads, and we'll look at whether they're personal lines, commercial lines, single lines, multiple lines, and in some instances we'll even look at the amount of premium that they have, and then we will tailor make. We have templates already made up, George, in our database, but we can customize them, and we run them by the principal or the marketing individual at the P&C agency, and then when the communication comes out from us, it actually looks, George, like it's coming from the P&C agency itself. And maybe there's, let's say George Nordhaus is the expert at agency A for doing the life sales, or he's responsible for it, so the letter or the email that comes out from us will be personalized with George's name on it, your name, George. It'll look like it came from your agency, but it's a communication that we've found is very effective in working with the agencies that we've got across the country. So that's that well-organized, and it's really as scientific as Greg likes to call it, because we do put filters on it, and we can specify the message that we want with, like I said, the personal and commercial lines, etc. And if they're single line people, we're just going to maybe market to them more product. And if there are multiple lines, we'll get more into sales ideas. If they are business owners, we'll talk maybe about buy, sells, insurance review. So it's more esoteric or driven with ideas. So it is very scientific. The next part of the circle is the airtight agreements that are necessary in this regard. At the end of the day, if you go to the top of that circle, the P&C relationships are what drive this. And that's the number one thing, George, that most of the agencies, if there's a reluctance, is they don't want to give up those relationships. So what we do is we have ironclad agreements that make sure that those clients stay the clients of the P&C agency. They have piracy agreements. They can't be stolen. They're completely protected. And the security in the server that we use will not allow anyone to interfere with the relationship that they've got, and it's secure. So that is what we put in place to protect the P&C's client, because that is the essence of everything here. And the next part of the circle is the human asset risk presentation, which I won't go into detail here, but it's a total risk analysis, because the property casualty risk is what the P&C agent currently works with the customer of the P&C agent. But what is missing is the human asset risk. And that, when you take the property casualty risk, add the human asset risk, you get what's called the total risk analysis. And that's, George, Marlon's had that conversation with you before. And we'll have a slide up here that references that. And if people are interested, they can go to that site and listen to that whole total risk analysis again. But that is the essence of this. It's about a 3-minute presentation. Never once is the word insurance used. It's a presentation that the principal of the agency will know almost verbatim what the messaging is, so he doesn't have to worry about going off script. It's non-aggressive. It is proven to work, and when we come to that slide, I would recommend that everyone listening to this tune into that, because it's the essence and strength of this program. And then to break the circle, Greg, is that when you do this right, if you, and there's variations, George, you can do as little as you want with this in terms of, and we'll get into this as we go down here with what we call an agency light system or the agency max, where we take all the database, we do all the marketing, or maybe we just put a quote engine on the PNC's website. And we can start by putting our toe in the water or build our way up to doing full-blown. But if you go full bore with this program, as we've done with multiple agencies across the country, it's guaranteed to create marketing success and sales success.
Hey, before let me ask you something. When you go do a mailing for them, and it looks like it's coming from the agency and so forth, do you charge for that to them? To the agency?
Yes, we do, because we do a pass-through, George. Yes, it's a computer-based, obviously computer-based. It's a sales-based data management platform that ensures the security of all the marketing material that we have, the marketing list. I'm going to call a bad word here. I'm going to call it the data, but it's basically name, date of birth, email address, personal, commercial, multiple, or single lines. That's basically all we need, and we can create our filters there. If you want to tell us what the premium amount is, we can add that as well, because that can dictate some of the messaging that we've got. But by uploading it into that system, it secures it, and it allows our agreements to keep that data safe and secure. But then we allow ourselves to market it, and it comes out as a very personalized message. And Greg, if you want to add anything, run that.
The only charge is, it's not that we charge them, we just pass along the charge of the database, which is somewhere in the area of about $600 a year.
$52, I think.
Oh my gosh, it's nothing.
So we just.
I thought you were serious about it. If it's $600, my God, one sale, half a sale, fourth of a sale will take care of that. I thought
Greg spent that much on dinner last night.
I know that. Probably. Well, that's you got the picture up when Marlon and I did I guess this was the first one we did, perhaps, or maybe it was the second one. But
well, yeah, this is the reason that I put this slide in, George.
Yeah.
Is because anyone who's listening just got basically in 2 slides the whole background of the Agency Max philosophy. Mm-hmm. And in this particular Monday morning from a couple of months ago, Marlon went into it in some great detail. And so what I did is I created a cute little URL so anybody could just type in tinyurl.com, and then George and Marlon, a sweet name, will bring them right to this podcast.
Right. Go ahead. Keep talking. You're doing fine.
Okay, great. So let's talk about when we have the Agency Max system and you have a PNC agency that doesn't have anyone with life expertise out there. So we've taken it upon ourselves to come up with the Agency Max training program where we get certified Agency Max agents. And our last class, to give you an example, George, it's not just we run an email and we'll take anybody that comes in. We had close to 70 people that were interested in the program.
Great.
And I spent the better part of 3 weeks calling those individuals up and vetting them. We sent a questionnaire out to them. Mm-hmm. They filled it in. I called them all. I got their experience, what they were capable of, what they were best at selling at. And then I also got a feel for each one of those individuals because I talked to them at a minimum 2 and most times 3 to 4 times as we vetted them down. We boiled it down, George, and ended up with 13 certified Agency Max agents that are across the country. One's up in Washington, down to California, New Hampshire, Florida, all over the country. And
that's not to say that the difference between 70-some and 13 dropped out. We only admitted 13 of the 70-some into the program.
Correct. Thanks for saying that, because that was part of the vetting process, George. We couldn't, and it gets to the point where if we get more than that 13 to 15, we sort of lose control of it, and we can't control the messaging. Then on top of that, we have a series of 5 webinars weekly, once a week for the next 5 weeks, and we send the material. I'll go to the next slide. It's a bad representation, but that book I've got right next to me, it's probably 1.5 inches thick, and that's all the certified training materials that we have that we provide after each of the webinars, and we give them homework to do, and we teach them the jargon and the way that they can have a roadmap to understand the P&C mentality, which is different than the life mentality. Like Marlon always says, and I think he brought it up in that webinar that Greg let the link to, is that the P&C agent looks at the life agent as a gorilla in the suit, more aggressive, someone that's coming at it, always hard-driven, wants to get the sale done, more proactive than reactive. And the P&C agent is more of a reactive person, building the relationship. I think that's why the trust there. So we teach the agents during this time frame while we're going through them to understand the mentality and then to be able to deal with their clients the same way that the P&C agent would do it in a non-threatening manner. So this book has all the communication templates that we talked about that we can personalize and the ones that are in there. And we have the non-piracy and the confidentiality agreements. We talk about the human asset risk, which is the total risk analysis, and all the consumer marketing materials. So the book covers everything from A to Z that's necessary for the individual to go out and to deal with the P&C agencies. And even in the back, there's a glossary that has the jargon or the definitions of that are commonplace in a P&C agency. So, you know, they get a good working knowledge and they go out there and they can talk the talk and walk the walk and do it in a non-threatening way, and it's been really successful. And in January, we're probably, late January, we're going to put another training class together, and we're already seeing success. We finished this, when did we finish it, Greg? The first one, was it?
I'm going to say October.
Yeah, late October, and we're already seeing some sales rolling in from the agents that have coupled themselves with the P&C agencies out there.
Peter?
And they do the work, yeah.
Peter, let me ask you something. Does an agency, does an agency have to have somebody certified before they can represent the Agency Max program?
Someone in the agency must have a life license, yes.
No, I didn't mean a life license. I meant the agency certification, the Agency Max certification that we're looking at on the screen. Do they have to? Huh? Go ahead.
The agent that goes through the Agency Max certification training, for our purposes, is eligible now to go to a P&C agency
and form a partnership.
And form the partnership. Now, if they didn't go through this training, there was an individual that we talked to about 7 weeks ago that came in here because he was interested in the certification training, and he had already been in a P&C agency, but he had failed miserably. And so, in other words, George, you could do this on your own, but the fact that this guy had been in an agency, failed miserably, and they were basically throwing him out, he came in here, and he's going to be in our next class come January, because he needs to work the jargon and understand how to work it better, and then he'll have access to the emails and all those things. So you can do it on your own, but the success won't be there.
Right. It's a variation for an internal life person. And we do address that in another slide.
Okay, but you're not, Greg, I'm still a little bit confused. When you're going out and you're appointing agencies, or they're going into your program, the Agency Max program, once again, does somebody have to have a certification there, or not before you do business?
In the partnership model, no, because the person who is an Agency Max certified person is typically somebody with a long life and financial services background, and we are helping to forge a partnership and an airtight relationship with the PC agency.
Right.
The PC agency owns the business. So the only thing that the PC agency in this model requires is to have somebody with a life license so that they can write and own the business. There's a variation of this. If there happens to be somebody who's a life person inside and wants to tackle this themselves, we can train that person similarly. We have 1 or 2 cases like that.
I don't know, what if you got an agency, Greg, that doesn't have anybody even remotely interested in life? I mean, as to be the salesperson, and I suspect you're something like that. But you can still work with them as long as they have a life.
Right. We find that most of the time it's the external life agent serving and forging the partnership with the P&C agency.
Okay.
George, I could say this. If you have that agency that's out there that doesn't have anybody in the agency that has the ability to make the life sale.
Mm-hmm.
That is a perfect example where we would marry that certified Agency Max agent with that PNC agency, and then they would split the business. And then that's where those agreements come into place, and they're even more crucial because the first name on the application is the name that controls that client, and the first name will always be the PNC agency's name. And then the non-piracy agreements say that that agreement can be terminated at any point in time by the PNC agency, and that protects the client, and the agent can't walk away and try and do anything with that PNC agency's client after that.
Ever.
So that's where the agreements come in.
Got it.
In that example, marrying the certified agent with the PNC agency that doesn't have anybody that's capable of selling is where the certification, the training comes into play, and that's where it's a benefit to both people. Because if you go to the next slide, Greg, this is what we've talked about in an ad in Rough Notes when we talk about, one more. Yeah, it's the ad that we ran in Rough Notes for the past couple of months is it's a Leads for Life program, for if you think about it, for the certified Agency Max agent, because if he can get that relationship with the PNC shop, the expertise is there for the individual agent. But the expertise is worth nothing if you've got no place to ply your trade. Well, the relationship that the PNC agencies have is crucial. So that is basically Leads for Life. If I can marry the expertise of a certified Agency Max agent with those great relationships that the PNC agency has, it's a win-win situation for both, because you're rewarded for having the relationships, you get to control them, and then the sales come about because of the fact that you've got the expertise. So it's a great trade.
Right. I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm glad that we could clarify that part. As a matter of fact, I told you we had a slide where we were going to address the alternative, where the PC agency does have somebody internally, and then we would indoctrinate them into the human asset risk and the total risk analysis spiel, and they basically would be doing the whole thing in-house. More than likely, though, we would still help them engineer the email campaign, which is something that needs to be a disciplined and well-executed campaign.
I agree. Great. Okay. Got it.
So,
and that's, and that's the internal alternative that we've got up here.
Right. That's what we were going to address with this slide. And then, of course, here's number C.
And this is what we've talked about. It gets, this is where you've got the individual in the PNC agency, George, and we call it Agency Light. So Agency Max would be having the marriage of the certified agent going into the PNC shop that doesn't have anybody that can do it. And Agency Light then would be taking all the cross-selling tools, all of the marketing materials, all the exclusive webinars that we have, and all the templates, getting the data, which is basically a marketing list, uploading that into our Salesforce system, and then marketing to them on a personal level so it looks like it comes from that agency, and that drives business back to the PNC shop, which then the person at the PNC agency that has the expertise handles those sales.
Got it.
But we still offer the back office help with running illustrations, helping you understand the concepts, and doing all those things behind the scenes, both on the Bollinger Group side and on the MarketMax side for the annuity, long-term care, and final expenses if it's necessary.
And whether it's a partnership arrangement between the Agency Max certified advisor and the PC agency, or if it's the alternative where the PC agency has somebody internally and we work with them, the one key element, I probably should have put a slide up there, is commitment and follow through. It's really easy to listen to this and say, gee, this is a great idea, and yeah, I'm going to do it, but there's always some sort of a distraction, which is one of the best reasons to have us see to it that the emails go out in a predictable and reliable manner.
Got it.
One of the emails that we have go out is Homeowners Plus, George, and it's a really great concept. Who's the first person, George, that knows that you just got a new house, which probably means you got a new mortgage?
Well,
That'd be the PNC agent.
yeah, absolutely. Got to have that before.
Because you've got to get that homeowner's insurance on it.
Yeah.
And the second you get in that house, you start getting inundated with envelopes, phone calls, and requests to buy life insurance to cover the mortgage in case you die prematurely. So we send out an email from the PNC agency shop that says, you know what? You don't know who these people are. You don't know if you're getting the best price. You don't know what these companies are. Why don't you go to our website and check out a quote engine that we put on the PNC agency's website in complete anonymity. They can go in there, run a quote for themselves, and the answer gets spit out in 4 different classes, George, from Preferred Plus, Preferred Standard, and Standard Plus. And the reason for that is everybody thinks they're preferred, and then if somebody quotes that, they forget the medication they're taking, and then when they really come back at standard, they're disappointed with the pricing, even though that's fair. So this way we've got the 4 different classifications in there. If they're interested in it after they see the quote, they hit a button that says, send the quote to me. The second that happens, the PNC agency is notified, and they will know that someone has been in there, and they'll know because of the email address. So then someone from the PNC agency can make a call and initiate the sales process with them on the Homeowners Plus program.
And we provide the quote engine tool free of charge also. So, you know, really in the long run, we're not selling anything here. We're talking about $50 or so that's a pass-through from the database company, and the rest is commitment. We're asking for commitment.
So George, in all the agencies that we're currently doing business with, we either have this quote engine on the website or we're in the process of doing it. And then the key, as Greg said, is it can sit there dormant, but the key to driving the business to the website, which everybody wants, is to drive people to their website and cultivate some activity that is meaningful, is doing that third-party marketing that we do to the clients of the PNC agency. And that's the key to this, is, as Greg said, is staying on top of that, having a program, using the filters, tailoring the message to the individuals, and being proactive in terms of the messaging that goes out to the clients, and that's how you drive the business back to the PNC agency. And general rule of thumb, George, is about whatever you're doing in a PNC premium, you can do 5% of that in life annuity sales as you build this business. So that is a great leg to think about as this business gets more and more commoditized, finding a way that you've already got the clients just sitting there. Why don't you turn on the spigot, market to them? All the back office, everything behind the scenes is done by us, but it looks like it comes from the PNC agency. And in summarization, it's a great way to grow the PNC agency's business, because, like you said it first when we first got started, George, if they're not doing it, somebody else is going to do it, and that just cements the relationship even more.
Well, I love the whole concept of it, and I think if every agency, if they don't, I think it's a wonderful answer for any agency that really is not really good at, and a lot of them are pretty good, but I think this would make them better. So I'm glad we were able to do this, and I appreciate it. And I can tell you that all I hear from agencies that I know, or agents that I know who are using Boiler, is that, you know, they like what's happening. They see the money coming back. It isn't a big investment. It's an investment in time and intent, but it's a payoff is worth it. So guys, listen, thank you very much. We'll get this as many hands as we possibly can. We go out to well over 100,000 now every week. And thanks to Greg and others who've helped us, and I appreciate it very much. And so let's let it go for now. I'll see the rest of them next Monday morning. And guys, hang on, because I know I'll be back with you in not too long for time. Okay?
Thank you, George. Have a great day.
Okay.